Hey folks, I'm Joao, the CEO of Stealth White Label Agency, and my mission is pretty simple: to empower marketing agency owners to grow, scale, and build businesses that thrive. Over the past 3 years, I've led Stealth, helping 700 plus agencies achieve smarter, sustainable growth. We've generated 650,000 quality leads, invested 30 million in ads that actually convert, and ran campaigns across 70 niches worldwide. Now, I'm excited to share something new with you. We're launching the Growth Lab Sessions, a podcast designed to help agency owners learn what's working right now in marketing, sales, and business growth. Each episode, I'll bring you insights, strategies, and conversions with industry leaders who are making a real impact. No fluff, just proven tactics and real stories to help you scale your agency. Let's dive in. Today's episode is a special one because we have a guest whose journey is anything but conventional. From cybersecurity and network engineering to leading marketing ventures, he's built multiple successful businesses and is now the CEO of Omni CRM, a company focused on helping businesses generate leads and convert better. Ibraheem, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you for making the time.
For sure. Thanks for being on. You have one of the most unique career paths that I've seen, starting with a degree in cybersecurity and counterterrorism at George Mason University. And then, getting into the marketing and business world. So let's just kick things off from the beginning, right? What drew you to cybersecurity in the first place?
I've always been the type of person to think, how can I get the most out of as little time as possible? So when I heard a degree like cybersecurity, where you can be making above $100,000 every single year, and you can get it without much work, without many certifications, obviously certifications are needed, but not that needed. And you can get it within 4 years. I was like, all right, sign me up. It's quick, easy. I can make some money through it. At that time, I had no idea what any type of business was. Mind you, I'm 24 years old. I graduated 2022. So this was 2 years ago. And I worked obviously in the field. I wasn't exactly a cybersecurity professional. I was more of a network engineer, somewhere in the tech space as well. And then finally, my last ever job, I got let go from because I was not showing up. I was not doing very good work for them. So naturally, they let me go. That was a fun experience.
Yeah, crazy. Dude, I didn't know you had only been in the space for 2 years. That's pretty short amount of time that you've been able to create a pretty successful agency. And like when you made the switch to the agency space, at what point what year was that?
Well, yeah, that was around 2021, but I never took it seriously until 2023, really, beginning of 2023. And when I say I never took it seriously, I mean I didn't know how to get clients. I didn't know where to. And actually, I came to you very often for mentorship, and you were nice enough to mentor me and lead me in the right path. And we even did some work together as well. And I helped you out with some projects. I remember, uh, but really had no idea where I was at, and it took me obviously a little while, but when it rains, it pours. That's what I always like to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when it rains, it pours for people like you, because I feel like when you choose one thing, you go super hard at it, especially if you see that that choice is going to pay out, right? I think that ever since I met you, you were super ambitious. And, when you really got focused in 2023 in the agency space, it's because you saw a path to riches, right?
Yes,
Would you agree with that? Like, I'm kind of trying
100%.
to understand why did you choose the agency space in 2023? And what made you just focus on that and go super hard?
Of course. So I always like to tell this story, and this is kind of what made me make the transition. But when I was working my job, I was working as a staging manager, and this wasn't the position that fired me. This was the position before that. The big boss guy, the guy who made all the decisions, okay, he would have a very stressful life. He would be doing a lot of work, and he would leave his house or leave work rather in like a broken up, being down BMW. And this is the guy that we go to for everything. So I'm sitting there like, if this is the best that I can get to, then why am I doing this? What's the point? And I've always been the person to be a little bit obviously more ambitious. I've always imagined myself to be a little bit more. I've always been the creative mind, so you call it. I've made YouTube videos before. I've always been doing something different. I even made music at some point. We don't talk about that, but that's been a part of my path at some point. And I'm like, is this really what I want to be? And the answer was frankly no. And the reason why I love agencies and I love business so much is because there's really no limit at all.
Right.
Um, what got me pretty much as focused as I am, and kind of the formula for focus is how often you can say no to a lot of things. There's a terminology, there's a saying that says, choose something that you love and you'll never hate to work again. And that's not true. I don't believe in that whatsoever. There's a lot of things that I really dislike doing, but I still do anyways. It's BS. It's not true. Am I allowed to curse on here, by the way?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Fucking hell. Anyways, so I don't find that to be true. So there's so many things that I do that I really dislike, but for some reason I don't know. I just keep doing it. And the formula for how many things you can say no to translates directly to how many things you can do. So the more if you have one task at hand that you have to do, and there's a bunch of things happening around you and you say no to everything, then you're at optimal focus. If you say yes to something else, then that's where you lose focus, and that's kind of how you measure it. So everything is done in measurements. You love KPIs, you know how KPIs work.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I track it. If you can track your life in a way that where you track your own KPIs and you actually put numbers to the hours that you're putting into work, how much leverage you have, um, then these are all things that you'll be able to determine why you're underperforming a certain month based on the amount of numbers that you're hitting, if that makes sense. How many hours am I putting in? How many people have I hired? How much volume am I doing of this type of task? Did I step out of the agency space and did I let my team handle everything? Or am I still stepping in? So based on those numbers, you'll be able to know pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. But like you, was it, do you think that it was getting a partner that you liked that was kind of like, okay, I have a cool partner. He knows his shit. We can kind of really add to each other and grow a lot faster than if I'm trying to do it on my own. Like, was that kind of an
Yeah.
initial thought to being in the agency space?
100%. I genuinely believe that there's two ways or two outcomes that can happen when you get a partner, especially if they're your friend. One outcome is you guys do amazingly well, or the other outcome is you guys hate each other, never talk again. Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people hating each other, never talking again, a little bit too many times. And Jordan, my current co-founder, I met him at a birthday party, didn't even know him to be honest. He just kind of came in and was like, "I see you're ambitious. Let's get something done together." And I was lucky enough to say yes. And obviously here we are today. But most of the time, what ends up happening is if you have a partner that you're looking to work with, and they're really new to the space and they don't know what they're doing, and then you don't know what you're doing, and then you guys combine, you guys are going to be two brains that don't know what they're doing, which is a huge issue. But if you join in with somebody who has some experience doing something, and another person who has some experience doing something, and you put that together and you guys make greatness, boom, that's how you make a successful business. So Yarden at the time, I was a really bad closer. I was extremely bad at closing deals. I was a nervous wreck, didn't know how to talk to people on a sales call, didn't know how to sell them. Yarden was like the exact opposite. And he just kind of came in really largely on the sales side. I was more of the client retention, client happiness, and pretty much internal team management side. Now we both do both things, but either way. So it just kind of ended up working out. And I can say this from the absolute bottom of everything, right? Like you could say my heart. You cannot, if that
You
makes
have a
sense.
heart,
All right,
right?
I'll try.
People
Uh,
don't think you do, but you do, man.
no, I'll try. I'll try. No, I have a heart. I promise. Anyways, it's maybe 100 to 500 times easier to get to where you want to be at if you have either a partner or somebody knows who knows what they're doing and has done this before by your side.
Right, for sure. Yeah, man, I feel like you kind of slingshot once you connected with Yarden, and it's kind of funny that you say you were a kind of a bad closer because I always thought you were a great closer. Right? When we did projects, you're the one that got it close. I mean, you did the introduction, but they were pre-sold, right? I just had to do a call and show some things, and like I started helping them with the agency side of things. But I feel like you were such a good closer. It's funny how you have that perception of yourself from back then.
Mhm. And maybe it's just what it is. I mean, right now, I can confidently say that there's days where I close maybe 4 or 5 deals, and there's days where I close zero. Even a few days where I close zero, right? And it's all really in how you think of yourself. If you're not confident with the close, and I record a lot of my calls, actually every single call I record, but those that I look back at, this is a very small portion. The days that, and this is why it's really good to track, it's a part of tracking, right? You're tracking your calls, you're tracking the days that you did good and the days that you didn't do good, so you can compare and see which one is good, so you can, whatever. Um, the the times where I was closing less deals, I was hesitant. So whenever I would try to go for the close, I'd be like, hey, maybe it would potentially possibly make sense for us to maybe follow. It's not like right there. It's not confident. So when you have the hesitancy, the other person will be hesitant naturally. But in the days where I'm like, hey, look, this makes a lot of sense for you. Why don't we just book this day in to get you started on this exact day? I'll send you over some information. Please, if you're going to join this call, fill this out prior so we know what we're doing when we get on that call. Let me know this is your deadline. Boom. And then that you're like, oh yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Most closes just kind of happen when you just I don't want to say force them into it, but you have to like assume the close pretty much.
Conduce. Lead. You have to lead and
Pretty
you
much.
have to take control of a sales call. Just one thing to touch upon, I'm managing a team of four uh, salespeople. And so what I've noticed, and I've been managing them for the past year or so, is that when they have the high energy, when they're
Yeah.
excited in their own lives, when they're seeing like some sort of success and they're coming in every day looking fresh, comfortable, feeling good, they have their personal lives, like in order, they do such a good job in sales because they communicate confidence, they communicate an energy that the other side of the screen can feel, trust them, connect with them, and
Mhm.
buy. Right. So for me, I'm always checking in with my closers to see how they're doing and to kind of coach them on how to get to work every day and have energy because it's so clear when you have really great energy you sell so much more, and when you're low energy you don't sell that well. And
Mhm.
so like for people that are listening, what do you think are some of the main takeaways that you've had going from not being great at sales to being great at sales?
Honestly, just not caring if they close or not, which is something that might be a little bit easier for us to say than it is for, the average Joe, let's just say. But the best way to fix you not caring about if they close or not is to simply just increase the volume of people that you're talking to so that one specific person that you have a call with next week and it's the only call on your calendar, that matters a lot less. I can tell you it hurt a lot more when somebody didn't show up on the call when I had 5 people, 6 people a week that we need to talk to. Hurts a lot less when we have about 18 calls every single day. Um, so that's step number one. The step number two, Zane, our advisor, and I hate to mention his name. I don't want to give him clout over here. I don't. Anyways, Zain, our advisor, he always says, imagine that there's a McLaren outside of your house. You're living in a mansion. You don't care if the close happens or not. You're just there to kind of lead them along the way, and that's it. And people feel that energy. You know, when somebody comes to you and they're like, please come on, work with me, please, and they become business simps, let's just say. You're like, okay, what's wrong with your product? Why are you trying to sell it so hard? But then when you're like on the back step, the prospect lowers their guard. You don't have to push them in a corner or anything. And then once the prospect's guard is lowered, then they're able to make a decision based on the information that you give them, whether they want to move forward or not. So,
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I think that touches upon leverage, right? Once you can create leverage for yourself, you don't really care if somebody closes or not. It's like, is this person a great fit for my company or not? If not, if we can't really help them, let me just hop on to my next call. And so you're generating 18 calls per day. That's
we
massive.
we generate, or I mean, per person between me and Jordan, the only reason why we take the sales calls till right now, and we have had people that we brought in to take sales calls as well, is because we don't have anything else to do if we don't take sales calls. We've just kind of automated our business, and we're like, what else would we do if we're not taking sales calls? Um, we have a great team behind us, and that's something that you also helped out with, Joao. I really want to talk about your kind of systematic approach. It's always been extremely interesting. I've always mentioned it to Jordan. I'm like, if Joao can do it, why can't we? And one thing that you've become extremely good at is just to hire really good, talented people that take care of everything for you, and then you go like enjoy your time in Brazil, for example. Right? That's always been like, how the hell do you? And we're close to that level right now from everything minus a sales perspective, only because we're still taking the sales calls because, again, nothing better to do. Um, but one thing that you mentioned that I want you to actually to share with the audience as well is how you track your team and how you track KPIs and how you attach KPI to bonuses and things that your team gets financially extra if they hit these numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank you for giving me that shout out. Right now we're managing a team of 70 people. And so the way that we organize everything is that all departments have a base pay plus a variable pay. Okay.
Okay.
So typically the base pay is going to be a competitive salary that they would get like a market salary. But then they can get a variable pay, which is like a variable pay, right? Based
Yeah.
on performance, like a bonus, right? Monthly bonus of 12.5%. And so, which would be 12.5 of their pay. So if they get paid 10,000, 12.5 on top of that is going to be 1,250, right?
Great
You thought
math.
I'd mess up my math there,
I,
right?
I knew you would mess up your math, and honestly, I don't know if you messed it up or not because I'm not doing it. So I know you could be completely messing with me right
Yeah.
now.
No, it's 1,250. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
that's an example. And so how do we do it? Every department has 1 to 2 KPIs that we're measuring. And
Mhm.
so account managers, what do you think we're going to measure them on?
Uh,
Churn.
Retention.
Yeah. Retention and upsell,
Yeah.
right? So like their job is, five. So this is how I break it down. 5% is going to be based on churn. So if you hit your churn metrics and stay under 10% of churn, then you get this 5%. Now, if you sell like X amount of dollars, like let's say if you sell $3,000 additionally to the clients that you manage this month, you also get the other 5%. So that's 10%. And then the 2.5% difference, right? 12.5 minus 10%, the 2.5 difference is some sort of activity. And so one of the activities that I asked the account managers to do is to get one video testimonial per client a month.
Mhm.
Because if they get one video testimonial, I have 12 account managers. So that's 12 video testimonials per month that I'm getting. And we're marketers and salespeople. We know the power of social proof, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like a little bit of how I think about the cycle and the way to structure payment. So now let's go up a level. Above the operators, I always have a manager, because if I don't have a manager, I'm the one that has to go in there, or my
Yeah.
head of ops is the one that has to go in there. And then we just can't be strategical, because then we're being operational, right? And
Mm.
so we have a head of account managers. They manage the team of account managers. And what's their KPI? Churn and upsell, the same KPI that they manage for their operators. 50% of their KPI is going to be making sure that the account managers are hitting their churn. 50% is going to be that their account managers are going to hit the collective upsell goal, right? And then the 2.5 difference is going to be whatever I want her to do, like a new process or a new something. So I'll change it up month by month. And then on my media buying side is going to be pretty similar. They're in charge of the churn, of people that churn, that they manage. And they're also in charge of KPIs that we can hit for our clients. So if we hit like the KPIs that our clients are asking for, then the coordinators, the media buyer operators get their bonuses. So that's kind of the mentality. And then when we roll that up to one person, which is our head of operations, the head of operations manages all of the leaders. And so he gets a base pay, and he also gets paid upon the performance of each of the departments hitting their goals. And so if the operators hit their goals, if their leaders hit their goals, if the head of ops has the people under them hit their goals, then, that's how we bring it all together and make sure that everybody is in charge of a KPI that is going to provide the most valuable service to our clients. And, we align that with the incentives of the clients, align with the incentives of the team members, right? Does that make sense?
100%, 100%. And funny enough, that's exactly what we're doing. So we have two different departments. We have a retainer department, which is where we hold our clients who are retainer based. And then we have a pay per lead department where we bring on companies. By the way, our offer is amazing. I mean, it's if somebody has a budget and we're talking to maybe 10 people, we're closing 3 to 4 minimum. So that's why our like close rate is super high with just 2 people. And the whole entire offer is, look, pay us nothing until we get you in front of the right person. You get to choose whether or not you want to talk to them. If you talk to them, you pay us. Done. And that's been pretty much a really large hit. And to execute that is really difficult. To deal with a lot of clients is also very difficult. But I've been able to differentiate both departments. And then obviously it's the same exact structure as you. We call them project managers who manage the account managers. They have their own separate KPIs, which is how many calls gets booked and how many messages are sending, just making sure we're on track. Project managers only get paid on retention. So they have to work with the guys right below them to make sure the retention is up. And then we have a person above, and then it's obviously me and Jordan. And we also have a pay per lead side where they still only get paid, well, not only, but they obviously get a base and they get paid per lead as well on top. So every single lead that we bring to the client that's confirmed and they take the call, then they get an extra bonus on that specific lead. So it's kind of like it's a business where if you bring somebody who's just obsessed in making more money, then you will naturally just make a lot more money. And then that's how we've been able to kind of step out of that because we are tracking. I mean, I can't like stress how important tracking has been for us and has been obviously for you as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have a lot of the tracking in place that gives you like all of the visibility? Because, man, I'll be honest. I would say that now, after 3 years of the agency, is where we are actually tracking everything. Before we were kind of tracking it, but we would track something like generalized, but we
Yeah.
wouldn't have a breakdown per team member or per department or per
Mhm.
squad.
Mhm.
Like And we have two business intelligence people. We have, 6 leaders. So it's a lot to track with, especially with 70 people, 200 clients. How
Yeah.
have you been able to create like these tracking?
Yeah. One dedicated person. Everyone has their own departments. It's one very large sheet. The project managers are the ones that put the numbers down for the people that are under them. And we do it in a way where it doesn't take that long. We have a deadline, so every single Tuesday we have our tracking sheet get done. And then we look at pretty much everyone one by one and say, why is this number not hit? Whatever, we pretty much hold them accountable based off of that. But that also runs into why agencies should niche as well. In my opinion, the more different things that you're doing, the more things you have to track. The thinner you spread yourself, the less money you make, right? So, for us, because we only do one type of service, like for you, you work with a lot of clients who have different goals. The only goals for our clients is booking calls, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
For you, it's like getting sales and whatever, and ads can do a lot more than what LinkedIn does, which is obviously what we're specializing in. So that helps us with tracking because there's less things to track,
Right.
right?
Dude, and like I love that you touched upon this point of niching down
Yeah.
because like that makes life so much easier when you have a productized service and that's what you're doing, right? And let's kind of share with the audience what give us a rundown of what is your offer, what results do you offer to your clients, and who do you focus on?
Sure. Our main focus is consulting companies, tech companies, and ed tech is a huge one as well, but pretty much consulting and tech. The reason why we ventured, it was initially just tech, but the reason why we ventured into consulting a little bit is because consultants need to have some type of social presence if they're good for people to trust them, like them, and work with them. They need to be, if you're claiming to be a consultant or if you're a person who was a consulting firm, you have had to done something in your life to have that title of consultant and be able to consult somebody on a specific topic. So the way that we think about it is if they already have that information out there, that will help us convince other people to jump on the call with them. So we use LinkedIn as our primary form of outreach. We take over their LinkedIn accounts. We do direct outreach messages to people that are qualified who could want a specific service for our client. And then we automate that. We put in an account manager, so somebody to manage all the messages. So it's a completely done for you service. And our offer has been very, very fun to play around with. When we first came in, we're like, hey, retainer results on guarantee. If we don't hit you these numbers, then we'll work for free until we do, which is cool, whatever. But that sounds like everyone else. So then what we did is we said we were charging about $4,000 to start. We brought that down to 2,000. We're like, hey, $2,000. But if we get you 8 leads, then it goes up to $4,000 that you have to pay us. And we got them to 8 leads. They just didn't want to pay 4,000. So
Mm-hmm.
we're like, okay, interesting. How about you pay me nothing? All right. Don't pay me a dollar. Right. And you only pay me when I get you the lead and you pay me per lead. Jordan was super against that idea. I told him, nope, we're doing it. And clients were like, yeah, sure, let's make it happen. Biggest issue is if they pay nothing, they become really unserious. So that's the number one thing that we got. So they're like, oh, yeah, let's get started, whatever. We're like, it's free to get started. They're like, sounds great. And then they just don't show up on the call. And they're like, maybe not. Maybe that's not what we're going to do. So
Yeah.
then we're like, okay, setup fee. So now we have a setup fee where they have to pay the setup fee before they get started. And then once they do get started, we charge them for every single lead. Each lead is usually between, on the very low end, depending on the market, is between $250 to $350 per qualified lead, as long as they show up, lead accept or client accepts them, all that shenanigans. And then usually per client, per LinkedIn account, and we're managing about 3 LinkedIn accounts per on an average per client. But per LinkedIn account, we're booking maybe 5 to 8 calls per month. So you can do the math, and I don't know. I don't know how many clients do you have. How many clients do you have, Joel?
200 clients.
You have 200 clients.
Yeah.
Like you're like counting like every single one to like no. Is it around 200?
Oh, it's
200
around
plus?
200. Like No, yeah, it's around 200. Every week we look at active clients and total clients, clients in onboarding. So it's
Yeah,
around that.
yeah.
But your math is basically like each client is going to have 3 LinkedIn accounts. You're going to generate around 8 calls per LinkedIn account. So we're talking about 24 calls that you're generating for your clients, which is amazing, right?
So here's what happens, right? They jump in. Once they pay their setup fee, we capture their credit card. We have in the contract that says if we generate you this lead and you accept it, then at that point, and I'm saying some like secret sauce right now. This increased my company's revenue by 70% in a month. Okay, this whole entire what I'm sharing right now. Um, and you obviously capture their credit card. You agree with them and say, look, whenever you take a call and you accept a call, we're charging you for it. And they say, sure, great. And a lot of people, depending on how many marketing channels they have and how much money they're spending, they won't even know how much money they're spending on something like this until like the end of the month, or they realize, oh snap, $300 per lead is actually really expensive. But because we take the risk, it makes sense. And at some points, I mean, we've had clients we've generated maybe 8 grand from in just 1 month. And in the agency space, an 8K contract is an extremely large contract, and we would have never been able to get to 8 grand at all for that client if we charge them a retainer or if we ask them a retainer. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even justify it in my mind. So what we then do is we're like, okay, obviously you're paying a lot of money. Why don't we just charge you that retainer? So now instead of going and charging them the 4,000 that we were initially asking for, because we charged them a lot up front, it was so easy for them to say yes. And they're like, holy crap, this really works. And there's a lot of leads coming in, but we're paying a lot of money for it. Now, instead of charging them 4 grand, we can charge them 6 grand instead of charging them the initial 8 grand that we were charging them when we were doing the pay per lead scenario. And that's how we're able to capture a lot more people longer term. And that's pretty much the secret sauce, honestly.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that, man. The what you're providing is what most businesses need, which is leads, right? Leads to be able to sell. I feel like in the agency space, in the consulting space, a lot of times people can sell because they're typically a consultant that has had corporate jobs. They know how to do the job really well, but they just need to be able to get clients
Yeah,
so they can do whatever they can really well. And so generating calls and being able to close calls, if they connect that with their skill set, boom, they can leave their corporate job and go from doing, 100K a year to doing like 300K plus a year. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, and like your pay per lead model, it's absolutely killer because it's basically risk free, right? You're not going to charge a retainer, you're going to charge per success, right?
Mhm.
So if they accept the calls, which means the calls are good, then it just comes down to their sales ability to be able
Absolutely.
to, get the money. So I love how, you really played around with your offer to understand how it would work, right? You basically understood what people were offering, which was guaranteed results or we work for free.
Yeah.
That's like the strong offer. So you
Yeah.
started with the strong offer and then you realized by being the actual salesperson and talking to people how to redefine that offer, right? So you
Mhm.
made it like you decreased the price and then you changed it to a pay per lead, right? And
Yeah.
then you can move people from, or it was free, then you added the startup fee,
Yep.
and that's how you kept it right now, right? It's startup fee plus
Yep.
pay per lead, and then people have the option to switch to a retainer. So
Yep.
they're not paying 8K, but they're paying like 4 to 6K range.
Mm-hmm. And 8K is definitely a large number for a lot of people to pay. I want to say 95% of our clients don't even get to that 8K mark every single month. A lot of them do get to a high couple thousands, if that. But the other cool part that I didn't even mention is we've also created a system internally where our softwares are $0. We don't pay
Ooh.
anything at all for fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a conversation for another day. But you know,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's funny, Joel, because you know you have all this information and you're just still open to always sharing information with a lot of people and I know you're the type of person to go out and try to help where you can and you would have physical literal proof that you're doing good for yourself, that you've been able to build a successful agency, that you have 70 employees, and people will still blame something like the market, for example, or blame something like so silly just to justify for their inability to like sit down and commit to something. You know, it's really funny. And I want to understand as well from your side. Do you currently also train companies on how to do what you do? Is there any training or like consulting like programs that you have? How does that work?
Yeah. So, man, like just in terms of a timeline, my goal was to build a agency that would have a leader in every department. We would reach like a churn that we're very happy with because then we know that we're providing good service. And on the paid media side, we would be hitting a very high KPI success per client. So a client comes in, says, I want a $10 lead, and we can hit that.
Mhm.
That was my initial goal in structuring this whole company, building some cash flow. I just wanted to focus on that, being able to get to this level that I'm at today. Um, and now the focus is honestly, how do I make more money? Right? Because I do a lot of white label work. Most of my clients, 80% of my clients are white labeling. And then 20% are direct clients that are paying me to do marketing services for them. But it's really sweet to get a client that's going to pay you 10K a month.
Mhm.
And it's not as sweet to get a client that's going to pay you $600 a month, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, think about it. If you have 10 clients paying you 600 a month, or like 10 clients, that's just 6K,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about a client that can pay you 10 grand. That's how many? Like 18 clients?
Yeah.
18 clients, which would be like 18 client versus one client. What do you want? And so, now that we have a client that's paying us 10 grand a month, and it's beautiful. I love that. I
Yeah.
love those stripe days that I'm seeing like, poof, 10
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels good. That's like an adrenaline rush always. And so we are now focused on getting more direct clients, right? Because we know we can deliver great service. And I'm also focused on doing more mentorships for agencies. And so I'm working right now with only one agency. They do, pretty good MRR already, but they want to switch to a more recurring model of billing, right? They do a lot of one-time setups and like that kind of work. And so my mentorship is around building products that are MRR, right? Like monthly recurring revenue,
Mhm.
creating a positioning and offering, creating a lead gen strategy, right? I think what you do for LinkedIn is super good because you don't really have the ad spend. So that's pretty good for new agency owners getting started, or like if you don't have the ad dollars, but you can always do both, right? So lead gen strategy, one of them is LinkedIn outreach, outbound and inbound strategy for generating book calls, a
Mhm.
sales process, hiring, and then that's basically like the 6 phases. The last phase, the sixth phase, is going to be putting a team in place and creating all of the management that I have set up. And so that's the 6 phase step that I'm doing as mentorships. And so, it's like a deal where I charge money. It's around the 7K mark for the mentorship right now. So
Mhm.
that's how I'm doing right now. The focus is getting more products that I can sell for more money so I have more margin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something very similar, by the way. I started another company recently. Haven't advertised it, nobody knows about it, but it's called Grow Big Ventures. And because of the type of work that we do, we already have two people on board. It's an acquisition company. We acquire agencies as well. we help them grow using our systems, tactics, and we pretty much get business for them into the door. And the really cool part is because we are partners with such large um, software providers, we're able to get softwares at pretty much a really low cost or even at zero cost to provide to these companies. We take equity from them, top line usually, from everything that they're making that month, but we actually help them grow their top line revenue and assist them that way. So, mind you, we haven't advertised this at all. I've slightly been having conversations here and there regarding this, but we're already at two people that we signed contracts, equity in, and Growing Ventures is hopefully the next thing that keeps growing. We're selling on me, Joe. We're selling on me.
What? Okay,
Yeah, dude, we're
cool.
selling on me. I don't know. It's just this. It's happening.
Wait, you're selling your agency?
Yeah, we're selling our agency
Why?
because we can make the same agency in 2 months, 3 months, and be generating the same revenue pretty much right away.
Wait, so do you have a deal that you're already selling it, or are you putting it in the market right now?
We're putting it into market in the next few months.
Wow.
We have potentially because Zane, our advisor, he's sold two companies previously. He's only 24, super young guy. Um, and the idea is we're able to build a company for 6 months to a year and then have somebody else acquire it. We keep the cash, rinse and repeat pretty much. And we help acquire other companies. So when we have that extra cash coming in, we're pretty much investing into agencies, taking equity by investing into the companies and acquiring them. And then we use our tactics, grow with them very close and then get to a point where they don't need us anymore and the founders are there pretty much taking care of everything.
That's insane. So, what multiples are you looking at for your agency?
3.5 usually. That's kind
Okay.
of a good multiple on the EBITDA.
Okay, nice. Well, let me know. I may
Yeah,
want to I may want to buy it.
actually, okay.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
potentially. I think dude, I think people in the agency space, you should either like build software that you're going to be able to scale and get like a 12 multiple,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do service agencies grow, right? You build a product. I've seen agencies do that. You buy other agencies and just roll up strategy into like big agency conglomerate, right? And you make them more profitable. You grow them,
Yeah.
or you partner with clients um, on being able to just really 10x their businesses.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the three avenues of how you can really make a lot of money with an agency,
Mm.
because the growth is kind of slow when you have service, right? You sell a bunch, then you need a bunch more people to kind of staff, and that's like a game that's not as fast once you start building up the skills and getting past like the 100, 200, 300K a month mark, right? At that point, when you're more savvy, you want to grow to like 1 million a month, right? And so how do you get there fast? And then the people that are like at the 700K, they're like, how do I get to 70 million a year?
Yeah.
Right. And so how do you do that? You partner with people that have products that you can scale,
Mhm.
right? Physical or service based. So
We've tried that. It was a nightmare, complete nightmare.
what, building a software?
Not building a software, but partnering with a company that already has a software
Yeah.
and complete nightmare, especially if they're like a startup and their software doesn't work as well. And the churn was solely based on things that we couldn't fix. So I mean, in a couple, I don't know, I don't want to say a couple of weeks. I think in a month and some change, we sold $10,000 worth of software and we had 10K pretty much monthly reoccurring, specifically from a downsell that we were using that we had pretty much, and it was good. It went great until people had questions that we couldn't answer. And then we had to get the other team involved. And so it's really important. What I'm trying to say is it could work. It's an amazing model. Um, but A, it has to be lower churn and B, you need to have some control over the process. At this
Yeah.
point, you're like an affiliate, you know?
So let's like clear things up. What is your goal to make more money than you're making right now?
Sure. Um, my goal to make more money is it's a lot longer term. We It's never smart, and I never recommend anybody to do this unless they have the leverage to be able to do so. But creating multiple companies and adding multiple streams of income where I can step out. And
Mm.
that's much easier said than done, but it's very possible, which is why most people acquire companies. Like, you think people on Shark Tank or whoever it is, and anybody who invests in large companies, you think they are like every single day going in there doing the work? Probably not. What they're doing is they're hiring somebody, leveraging somebody else, and using that to grow a business. It's actually exactly what Warren Buffett did. Funny enough, so Warren Buffett was the best investor in the world, not because he just predicted the market better than anybody else, but he controlled the market. He was able to invest in a company, but in order for him to invest in a company, he went to the VPs at that company and said, "You have to put this person, this person, and this person in charge. They're from my team. If you put them in charge, then I can make sure that that stock grows and I can make money on it." So he controlled that company and he helped it grow, and that's why he kind of took two bites at the apple, one from an equity perspective, and then B from a stock perspective when he did invest. So similar model, much smaller scale, obviously, but we're very confident. If somebody works with us for 6 months, they can easily, really easily get to like 50K monthly recurring, which
Yeah.
in our world isn't much. In somebody else's world is a lot, and then when they get there, it also won't be much, and then it's like,
Yeah. So your goal is you're actively partnering with agencies right now that are looking to grow, right?
yeah.
You're taking a percentage of their equity or their
Mhm.
top line. It could be either or,
Mhm.
right? And
Pretty much.
then you're being an advisor where they meet with you every week or so or every month, and you're strategical about the things that they have to do, right?
Exactly. Exactly. We have SOPs and things that we share with them to make sure that they're on track. Um, but again, this is something that can easily be done. And the number one way we're going to do it is most things in business, Joel, are extremely obvious. They're extremely obvious. It's like if we're closing less deals, why are we closing less deals? Okay, then we just reverse engineer it. So we start from the very start. When we were closing more deals, what was our show up rate? When we were doing this, what was that? So if we get to a point where we're tracking enough things, we can be more successful enough times, and it's not complicated. It's most of the time just it's things that the business owner knows, but they need somebody to tell them that that's actually what's wrong. If that makes sense.
Totally, dude. Totally. I feel like I know so many things, but if somebody sits down with me and says, "No, you have to do this," and we do it together, I know I'm gonna have success. But then, I mean, as a business owner, you just get busy and then you're just reacting all day, right? And so you
Yeah.
don't do the things that you know you should do.
Yeah.
And man, really props to you for growing so much as a business owner. I
Yes.
feel like business is really simple. Everything is really simple for people that know it really well,
Mhm.
right? So if you know something well, it's like simple. But if you don't know it, then it's like so hard and overwhelming.
Mhm.
Um, I really appreciate you sharing all these gold nuggets. Like you shared the secret sauce, the special sauce to your current agency and playing around with your offer. I think, if people are listening to this and actually paid attention to those kind of um, advice tips that you shared,
Mhm.
it's super important to play around with your offer. And that's what you should do in the beginning until you find a fit. And then you just scale that up. But if I can just kind of transition right now into a rapid fire round,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you some questions and you can just answer like whatever comes to mind in a quick way. So we're thinking
Okay.
about 3 to 10 second answers. Okay.
Sure.
If you could be the topping of a pizza, what would you be?
That could be the topping of pineapple
Why?
because I like pineapples on pizza. You guys can shun me for it.
I do too.
Not
All right,
pepperoni.
that's a funny one. I had the other ones are more
Okay, so
serious. What's
definitely not pepperoni though, Joe. That's how long we don't do that. All right, but continue. Sorry.
okay? What- What's the most impactful software or tool you use to run your agency?
Go high level. Go high
Let's
level.
go,
Straight up.
baby. How many niches is your or is your agency actively involved in?
Two,
There you go.
two maximum.
What's your average monthly ad spend for marketing and paid acquisition efforts?
Negative. We sell the softwares that we use to get us leads, so we make money to get clients.
There you go. That's her cut right there for social media. Can you share one unique tactic you've used to acquire new clients?
One unique tactic to acquire new clients. Okay. Offers. Special offers, actually. So we do SMS blast. Say, by the way, for a limited time only, and it's not limited time, it's whatever. We have 50% discounts on the setup fee. And then people are like, oh, that's cool. Um, that's the way we've gotten some clients.
You're a legend, bro. Can you share? So, if you could automate one part of your business, what would it be?
Myself.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which marketing trend do you think is overrated?
Uh, Marketing trend that I think is overrated. I think none. I don't think any marketing trend is overrated as long as you do it in a way that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. If you had to focus on only one marketing channel, though, for growth, what would it be?
100% LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
People, dude, people love to talk about themselves. Just tell them that they're doing a good job, give them a little pat on the back, and tell them to join a call with you, and then sell them. It's easy. Continue.
Love it. What's your current revenue and how is your agency initially funded?
Gotcha. Currently, we are approaching the six-digit mark, um,
Woo!
and currently funded. It was funded by two clients. One of them who paid us $10,000, and the other one who paid us $15,000. They churned after a month because we did such a bad job. But we were able to spend some really large contracts, and we have zero out of pocket money that we use to create this agency.
Legend. What's the size of your team and how do you approach hiring?
Sure. Size of our team is around 15 people, and we approach hiring by initiative. So the number one thing that we take a look at is initiative. If some client asks for something, how fast are you to respond to that person and pretty much get them happy, smiling.
What's your biggest bottleneck today?
What's my biggest bottleneck today? Uh, Boredom. To be honest, I don't know. That's why I started a new company. I'm just bored. We're
You got
looking
to
to
get back
sell.
to doing content, man. Like,
I'm
well,
doing
you're doing a
content.
lot of short form now.
I'm doing a lot of content. Yes, that's
Yeah,
that's
you're
kind of
doing a
fun.
lot of short form. You're not doing long form though, are you?
This is long form. Does this count?
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
this is long form.
There you go.
So Ibrahim, man, it's been incredible conversation. Like I always love talking to you. You have such a good energy. You're funny in your
Likewise.
own way. You have such a unique personality. Your journey from cybersecurity, music, and other things is a great lesson for a lot of entrepreneurs out there
Yeah.
that you tried a lot, you found what was going to be great for you, you stuck with it, and you've been able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars buying new cars and all the stuff that I see you do. You also stay super active, training and boxing, and so you know how to keep a balance and be a great human all around. I appreciate your resilience through all this time,
Thank you.
learning from failure and just standing up, dusting yourself off and trying it again, which led you to the success you have today. So where can people follow you on social media or LinkedIn?
Uh, Ibrahim, my first name Ibrahim, Kalani. K is my middle name. My last name is not Kalani. Don't call me Kalani. It's Alani. Thank you. But otherwise, yeah, that's where they can find me everywhere.
Awesome. So if you want to connect with Ibrahim, if you want to or if you want to buy his agency, right, that's approaching 100,000 a month, or if you want to connect with him for advice on your own agency, you exchange some top line, but in exchange for that, he's going to help you take you to 10 to 50 to $100,000 a month. So that could be life-changing for you. Hit him up on social media. And that's a wrap for today. This is another episode of Growth Lab Sessions. Stay tuned for fresh episodes being dropped, bringing you the strategies, tools, and insights to help your agency grow smarter, not harder. Subscribe on your favorite platform. Leave a review. And for behind the scenes content, follow me at Jow, Jowau, and Stealth White Label. Got questions or insights? Let's keep the conversation going on social. Until next time, keep growing, keep thriving, and remember, success is a stealthy when you're in the right lab. See you soon.
Subscribe.